Thank you for taking some time for yourself. Find a position where the chair or floor supports you completely. Notice how that support is constant. It doesn't shift or negotiate with you. It's just there. Perfect. You can allow your eyelids to grow heavy, as if the very idea of effort is becoming a distant memory. You can relax the small muscles around your eyes. I wonder if your breath can find a rhythm that feels entirely natural to you now. You will let your jaw slack, releasing the tension you've been carrying, like an old heavy coat. You can experience this sensation of solid ground beneath you. Every time you feel supported, you can experience a wave of absolute, unshakable stability. Now let the room around you fade into a soft, unimportant blur. Your world is shrinking down to the sound of my voice and the feeling of your own steady pulse. You can have a specific experience of stepping into a place where every variable is controlled. I'm curious whether your attention will absorb only the most helpful parts of this silence. You cannot feel the weight of the future in this moment. That weight belongs to someone else right now. You can focus on the coolness of the air as you inhale and the warmth as you exhale. And you, someone who experienced doing this, focusing so deeply on one single point of light, that all the noise of what if simply evaporated into the air as you drift deeper. Your mind no longer needs to label things as good or bad, certain or uncertain. You are moving beyond the need for words. You can allow your thoughts to flow past you like water over smooth stones. I'm not sure if your subconscious can recognize how safe it feels to let go of off the steering wheel for a while. You will enjoy this suspension of responsibility. You can experience this feeling of being a mountain, ancient, rooted, and completely indifferent to the weather passing over you. You can let the how and the why rest. They are tired and they deserve a break. We are standing at the edge of a new way of thinking. You are ready to see how someone else's certainty can become your own. You can be open to the idea that some things in this world are tested so thoroughly that there's no room left for doubt. And I wonder whether your imagination will begin to build a bridge between where you are and where you want to be. I once heard of a person who discovered that by looking at the evidence, their anxiety simply had no place to sit anymore. Later, when you open your eyes, you can carry this feeling of proven reality into every task you touch. You will listen now with your whole self as the what-ifs are replaced by the already done. We live in a wonderful era of beta testing, which is just a fancy corporate term for we aren't sure if this works yet, but would love for you to pay us to find out. For anyone that prefers their products to actually function on day one, this launch now and fix later culture is a nightmare of uncertainty. Enter Patrick Smith, a man who clearly didn't get the memo that he's supposed to let his customers do his job for him. Patrick spends 150 days a year in the Colorado wilderness, while most CEOs are busy synergizing in climate-controlled boardrooms. Patrick is busy making sure a backpack strap doesn't decide to retire early, while you're 10 miles from civilization. He doesn't hope his gear is rugged. He spends months trying to destroy it. If a Kifaru backpack can comfortably carry 200 pounds, which, let's be honest, is more than most of us want to lift, let alone carry, it's because Patrick already spent a season acting as a human backpack mule to ensure the seams didn't have a nervous breakdown. As the former head of Toyota, Shorikyo Toyoda, famously pointed out, any engineer who doesn't need to wash their hands 3 times a day is basically just a theorist with a degree. Patrick Smith takes this a bit literally. By the time a Kifaru product hits the market, it's been iterated. That's a polite way of saying it's been through a gauntlet of failures, so you don't have to experience a single one. It's the opposite of ambiguous. It's been refined until there's no room left for surprises. Of course, Patrick isn't the first person to realise that people are, rightfully, suspicious of things that should work but haven't been proven. Back in 1883, when the Bookend Bridge opened, the public was paralysed by what-ifs. It was the longest suspension bridge in the world, and despite the math, people were terrified it would simply decide to stop being a bridge while they were on it. To make things worse, when people finally started walking across it, someone tripped on the steps on the way up to the bridge, which caused massive panic and a tragic stampede, which only made the ambiguity worse. So how do you solve a massive outbreak of uncertainty? You bring in the heavy hitters. Literally, they hired a magician from the circus, Barnum, who marched 21 elephants across the span of the Bookend Bridge at once. The logic was simple. If several tons of Jumbo the elephant and his friends didn't end up in the East River, your commute to Manhattan was probably safe. Patrick Smith is essentially the elephant for his own products. He puts the weight on his own back, so you don't have to wonder if the bridge is gonna hold. People don't just buy his gear because they like the nylon and zippers. They buy it because they're tired of the what-if game. What if it breaks? It won't. What if it's uncomfortable? It isn't. What if the design is flawed? Patrick already found the flaw in 1998 and fixed it while you were still using a flip phone. In a world where most products are a question mark, Patrick Smith is a period. He does the messy, uncertain work of testing for 150 days a year, so that your only job is to show up and have the gear actually work. What a radical concept. Now that you've seen the elephants cross, you can feel that old sharp need for perfect information. Simply going soft and quiet. You can allow that frantic search for answers to stop, realizing that the bridge is already built. I wonder if that anxious energy can detach from your identity now, leaving you as a calm observer of facts. You cannot feel the weight of those old what-ifs anymore. They've been crushed under 21 sets of heavy grey feet. From now on, when you encounter a gap or an unknown, you can experience it not as a hole to fall into, but as a space where the testing has already been completed by someone like Patrick Smith. I am curious whether your mind will recode ambiguity as the quiet before the proof. You can view the unknown as a finished product. You simply haven't unwrapped yet. You can have a specific experience of looking back at your old worries and seeing how small and unnecessary they look against the backdrop of the Bookend Bridge. You will erase the habit of bracing for impact. Replace the image of a question mark with the image of a solid steel cable. You can make the feeling of being supported much louder than the feeling of needing to control. I knew someone who experienced doing this. They realized they didn't need to see the whole road. They just needed to trust the manufacturer of the car. I wonder if your subconscious can turn up the volume on that feeling of solid ground. Travel forward in your mind to a moment next month where you don't have all the answers. See yourself standing there smiling because you realize you don't need the answers. You know there is a system that has been field tested. Later, whenever you feel the urge to double check the universe, you will instead remember the elephants have already crossed. And when you're ready, I invite you to reorient yourself back into the present moment. Take a deep, certain breath, feeling the incredible strength of your own internal architecture. Your mind is clear, focused only on what is proven and real. Ambiguity is no longer an enemy. It is simply a manufacturer, product, or system you haven't discovered yet. Wide awake, standing on a bridge that was built for you to hold. Take another deep breath. Stretch out. Wriggle your fingers and toes. And open your eyes. Welcome back. You are perfect, just as you are.